All right, the next piece that I want to share and review with you is getting backgrounds. You certainly can leave your PowerPoint presentation with just a plain white background, although most projects for Good Shepherd, I'll require you to put a background on. When you're choosing a background, you want to make sure that that background is making your presentation better. So many times I see people put backgrounds on and then you can't read the text anymore or you can't see the picture. And that does not help you share information. And so when you're picking a background, you need to be very aware of what you're doing and making very good choices so that whoever is viewing your presentation can easily read the content that you have on there. So to do a background, you're going to go ahead and click on the slide, go up to Format up at the very top, and go down to Slide Background. Once you're on Slide Background, you will get this additional toolbar that will come up, and we have some different options. First of all, we have a solid fill. So the easiest way to do a background is just a solid fill, choose a color, and you're good to go. Again, make a good choice. This, using some of these dark colors, really hard to read. Okay, that's very difficult for your audience to read. If you're going to do something like that, you're going to want to make sure that you come in here and maybe change your font to a white so that it's really easy to once again read what you got going on. So I'm not saying you can't use a dark background. You certainly can. I'm just saying that you need to make sure that whatever background choice you're making, you can easily read it. So if you're going to do something like that, totally fine. Just make sure you change your font color. So again, the easiest choice is just to do a solid fill and then change the color. The second choice is to do a gradient fill. And for the gradient fill, this is where you have multiple colors that are coming into play. The first thing that you're going to want to choose, here are some preset ones. So if you're just looking for something kind of quick, but maybe just something a little bit more unique than just a plain color, you could just click on that and it automatically puts the preset one in. Very quick, very easy. But if you want to make it more unique, you could go ahead and change some of these other pieces. So you could change the direction. So maybe you want it rectangular, maybe you want it linear. You could change the direction. So maybe you want it in the bottom right corner. Maybe you want it in the center. So you could change the direction of that. And then you could change the gradient colors. Now, generally I say that 4 colors is the most that you want to have. You don't want to have 10 colors in here. That just makes it too tough to actually read what you got going on. So if you want fewer colors, you could click on the arrow here and then just hit the minus sign. If you need to add in a color, just hit the plus sign. Once that arrow is highlighted down here, this is where you could choose what color you want that arrow to be. So you could go ahead and customize this however you would like. Again, making sure that you can read it. So this is pretty easy for me to read right now. This is an okay choice. So you just kind of want to be aware of that and make sure that that is working okay for sharing information. Another type of background that you might do is a picture or a texture fill. We'll talk about adding a picture in another video down the line, but I just want to talk about a texture fill here for a minute. If you click on this, you can see that a texture fill will automatically come up, but if you want to change that, you could click on this icon right here, and then you could click over here, and this gives you some different options. Maybe you want something like this where it's just a nice gray background, has a little bit of texture to it. That is just fine. Maybe you want something like this. Now again, if you're choosing something like this, you're going to want to change that font color to make it easy to read, but there's nothing wrong with that. That is completely okay. If that's what you're choosing, just adjust the font color as needed. I'm just going to change it to something like that to start with here. And so you could certainly use that. Another type of background that you can use here is to do a pattern fill. A pattern fill you do need to be careful with. So many times I see kids do, or students do, a very busy pattern fill, something like this. And again, this can make your text really hard to read. So you want to be very careful. You know, something like that, ooh, kind of hard to read the text, okay? Again, depending on what you got going on, not real great. If you're going to do something like this, again, you might want to change the color. Maybe you change it to a real light yellow so it makes it easier for your audience to read it. So not saying you can't use this, you certainly can, and in certain circumstances, this might work really well for you. But again, you just want to be very aware of what you're doing so that it's very easy for you to read the content on the slide. So those are the main types of backgrounds. Again, I will do a separate one for adding a picture as a background.